Hi everyone, this is challenge 3. This is going to be choux pastry, or any pastry actually, but I'm going to do choux. It's very complex to do. We'd normally do it for GCSE, but I would like you guys to have a go if you can. Choux pastry is obviously French, and it uses a very unusual basis for pastry making. In the saucepan on my hob, I have got 200 millilitres of water and I've got 85 grams of margarine. I've already put them in and I'm slowly melting this. As you can see, for safety, I've got my hands all off to the side here so that no one can hit it over. I'm gradually going to melt the butter, and then I'm going to bring it to the boil. This is very important. Choux pastry works by steaming and by aerating the mixture with physical action, by beating the choux pastry. It's quite versatile. You can make lots of different products, some very impressive products such as Paris Brest or something called croquembouche, which are big towers of profiteroles in a caramel. If you guys can have a go at this, I mean, some of you in year 8 certainly will be taking this for GCSE, and it's a really good skill to learn. I'm not going to add any flavourings. I'm going to keep it simple, keep it traditional. So my butter is just melting in here. Now obviously the butter doesn't mix properly with the water. This is to do with the fact that the water is more dense than the butter, and it creates something called a colloidal system, which basically means they separate and they don't like each other, don't want to mix together. In order for them to mix properly together, I have to add something to get with it called an emulsifier, and on this occasion my emulsifier is my flour. My butter's melted, you can hear maybe the simmering. I'm going to increase the heat so it comes up to the boil. I want lots of big bubbles, and you can even count when you start getting your bubbles. Maybe count to 20 seconds, because this is very important. Otherwise, when I add the flour in, that isn't going to form into a lovely thick dough. So I'm going to start counting, and once I've done this for 20 seconds, I'm going to add in some plain flour. Very important, don't use self-raising flour. We don't want it to rise using a chemical raising agent. We're going to use physical action and the steaming from the amount of water that we've got. So as the water evaporates, it leaves a big air pocket. That has been now bubbling for quite a while. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to add in all my flour, and then I'm going to gently stir in a figure of 8 motion to begin with, because I don't want the hot water splashing up at me. And I'm going to now, this is the physical aeration aspect of it, beat the choux pastry until it is smooth and comes away from the edge. The more you do this, the better. I've already got my oven on, preheated, so that's going to be nice and hot, so that when the choux pastry goes in, that steaming process will happen very, very quickly because of the nice hot air in there. I'll just let you see what it looks like. Looks like mashed potato essentially, like that. So once you have done this and you've got the right consistency, now choux pastry is unforgiving. If you don't get this consistency, it's because you didn't boil water for long enough. You can't add more flour to it. It'll become really dense. It'll be like sort of pancakes almost. So it's really important to make sure you do it correctly. This is now got to be left to cool, because the next ingredient we're going to add is some eggs. And if I add hot eggs into this, so if I add eggs into this hot mixture, even, then of course the eggs will start to cook, and I don't want them to cook because I don't want bits of scrambled egg in here. So just to recap, 200 ml water, 85 grams butter, and 115 grams of plain flour. Boil up the water, melt the margarine, boil up the water, add in the flour, and beat and beat and beat until the mixture is lovely and smooth and you're trapping lots of air in there. Now I'm going to leave it to cool, okay? Some people take it out the pan because obviously the hot pan holds heat in. So the next bit you're going to see is me adding in the eggs once this is cooled. Okay, so that's my choux pastry cooling down. I'm now going to add in 3 eggs. These are quite large eggs, and we've discussed this before. I try and use, if I can, free range. Even better if you can use organic, but obviously it's very expensive. So it's really important just to use whatever you can get hold of, but the better quality does make all the difference. So I've added in 1 of my eggs. Now, this is where it starts to look very unusual because it doesn't look very nice. It looks sloppy and really not very good. And you have to be very perseverant with it. You have to really just keep on mixing it. Figure of 8 motion and whizzing that mixture around. That sound is probably not very nice over your computer, but anyway. So that's 1 egg mixed in. This is a good one if you've not been to the gym for a while either. Building up those arm muscles. Second egg in. Try not to get any shell. Oh, I managed to get a bit of shell, that was clever. Some people use the egg shell to lift it, the egg. The eggshell attracts to the eggshell, so some people use the actual piece of the eggshell to dip in and